Hello everyone, so I finished my Karrthus Tyrant of Jund rebuild and I wanted to show it to y'all. So Karrthus is a decoy commander. I've got a 7/7 flying hasting legendary dragon for 7, 4, 1 black, 1 green, 1 red. It comes into play, again control all dragons, then untap all dragons, and the other dragon creatures I control have haste. So before I continue, I'd like to take a few seconds, have everybody in the comments below put down what you think this deck is. When you see Karrthus, do you think it's a stacks Voltron deck? Do you think it's tribal dragons? What do you think it is? Anyone? Alright, so let me jump in to show you what it is. It is elves. So I've had Karrthus before, and I took it apart because it just wasn't effective anymore. Took the time to analyze what was going wrong, why it wasn't working, and I hope I've managed to correct it. So let's start off. There are 2 planeswalkers in the deck. Tyrant, 2 colors green for a 3 loyalty planeswalker. All my elves get tap, add black as a static ability +1. I get to put a counter on an elf and untap it, gains death touch on the turn. Mainly the untapping for my mana elves is what I'm hoping to get out of him. Then I can create 1/1 green elf warriors to beef up the army. And then the ultimate is pretty cool. I get an emblem with whenever I cast an elf spell, that gains haste and I draw 2 cards. So, Tyvar, Sarkhan Vol. So Sarkhan Vol is kind of a nod to Karrthus as far as being a Jund dragon dude. Anyway, so another 4 casting cost planeswalker comes to play with 4 loyalty. The real reason he's in here is to give all my creatures haste. The +1/+1 is nice, but haste is really why he's here. Stealing a creature is pretty good, so I've got that option available should I need it. And then of course his signature overwrites the -6. I put 5, I believe they're 4/4 dragon creature tokens into play. I should probably look this up and remember exactly how big those dragons are. Pretty sure they're 4/4. But I don't plan to use the ultimate. I never have. I don't care about it. He's here to give my dudes haste. So let's make the dudes bigger. Coat of arms. I think everybody knows what this does, and it does what it does quite well. Door of Destinies. I've had this card for years, never played it. This didn't make the cut in any decks. Give this a go and see if it works with elves. So whenever obviously I'll choose elves when it comes into play. Whenever I play an elf spell, it gets a counter, and all my elves get +1/+1 for every counter on it. Scroll rack, because if everything works right, and I'll show you what I'm planning to do, I should be drawing a lot of cards. Anytime you're drawing a lot of cards, you're drawing a lot of things you cannot cast in that moment, a lot of lands, few sorceries. So this will put everything away that I cannot cast in favor of hopefully drawing more creatures, so I can keep the draw engine going for a massive swing. Since he's divining top, so this is there for the same reason as scroll rack. 1 casting cost artifact. 1, look at the top 3 cards from my library, put them back in any order, tap, trade this for the top card of my library. So it can protect itself if it's going to get blown up by swapping it with the top card there, putting it in my hand. Tormod's Crypt, because I need some way of getting rid of people's graveyards. This also works well with, what is her name exactly? Glissa the Traitor. Anyway, so this works great with Glissa the Traitor. It's the only artifact I have that I plan to be able to get back from the graveyard with her ability. So I can keep sacrificing it and getting rid of nasty graveyards. Vanquisher's Banner. This is something I did not have in the previous iteration of the deck. new edition that I'm really keen to see how it works out. So, as the Door of Destinies comes into play, choose a creature type. Creature of that type get +1/+1. Whenever I cast a spell of that type, I draw a card. So that's part of the draw engine. Eladamri, Lord of Leaves. So he's a non-combo with the number of cards in the deck, because he gives the elves Shroud, not hexproof. But he also gives them Forest Walk, which is why he's in there. Ezuri the Renegade. So something I've done is this build only has 2 elves that cost more than 3. And I'll show you why that's important. Some of you have already figured it out. The previous saturation I had Beast Whisperer and Yiva, and I think 1 or 2 other elves that cost 4. And they would strangle me, because I would have elves that I can't toss into play with Alurin and get stuck. So by clearing that out, only putting in 2 elves that cost more than 3, I'm hoping that that resolves. So anyway, he's a 2/2 legend for 2 green and colorless. Green, regenerate another target elf. As just mentioned, he does not work very well with Eladamri on that. But for 5, and I can, as long as I have a chunk of 5 mana available, I can keep pumping it into him. Elf creatures get +1/+1 trample in a turn. +3/+3. Sorry. So if I have 10 to feed him, then all my elves get +6/+6 in addition to trample. Could get scary very fast if everything works. Glissa the Traitor. Green, black for a 3/3 first strike death toucher. So she should kill whatever she touches without suffering a counterstrike. And whenever a creature and opponent dies, I can return an artifact from my graveyard to my hand. As mentioned, Tormod's Crypt is the only one I'm counting on. But if my banner gets blown up, if my scroll rack gets smashed, I can pick them back up. Excuse me, Birchlore Rangers. 1 for a 1/1. Tap 2 and tap elves I control. Add 1 mana of any color to my mana pool. The morph is irrelevant in this. Call of the Claw. 3 for a 2/2 flasher. So when Call of the Claw comes into play, I get a green 2/2 bear for every creature that died this turn. So if somebody wipes my board, I can flash Caller into play and recover with something. It won't be elves, but I'm not going to be completely defenseless. And if, say, Coat of Arms is out, I have 10 creatures, a Wrath hits, I can flash in Color of the Claw, and I get 10 bears to replace the 10 elves that would have died. I will still have her as an elf. And all the bears will be 11/11, because they would all get +9/+9 from the Coat of Arms. So, bit of redundancy. Deathrite Shaman, green or black for 1/2. Tap, exile target land, add 1 mana of any color. Black tap, exile target instant sorcery card, target opponent loses 2 life. Green, tap, exile target creature card from graveyard, I get 2 life. I eat the dead. Nyam. Il's Deep Shadow. 1 green for a 1/1, tapped add black, but she hurts me. As so many women have done. Yeah? Too soon? Can I get a giggity? Anyway, Elvish Archdruid. 3 for a 2/2 Elf Druid. Other elves I control get +1/+1. Tap, add 1 green for every elf I control. Elvish Champion. Again, all elves get +1/+1, but they also get Forest Walk. So she's a redundant Forest Walker along with Eladamri. Otherwise, she's 3 for a 2/2. Elvish Clancaller. I love the art. I love this card in foil. It's just beautiful. Let me bring it up there so you can see it better. So she's here for the Lord effect. She's 2 for 1/1. Other elves I control get +1/+1. Obviously, she's not going to be searching out other Clancallers because this is a commander deck. There are no others in the deck, and there will not be. Mana Dork. Find a land Dork. So green for a 1/2 Elf Warrior. He gets +2/+2 as long as there are 3 or more lands in my graveyard, which is a possibility. What he's here for is to sacrifice a land and go find my Cradle, Yavimaya Hollow, Yavimaya Cradle of Growth, whatever I need. Some way of searching out the lands that I need for whatever effect is important at the time. And he can do it at instant speed. Elvish Visionary, draw a card Dork. Essence Warden, gain life Dork. Fauna Shaman. So this deck doesn't have Survival of the Fittest. She's replacing it because she's an elf, pumps up the team, has the same effect as Survival of the Fittest. Bit shakier being a creature that can get killed, but she's worked before in other decks. Another Mana Dork. Conditional Mana Dork. So tap 3 untapped elves I control, add 3 green to my mana pool. So she's a 1/1 from 1. I love the art. I wish Larry McDougall would come back and do more magic art. I really like that style. Another Lord, Imperious Perfect, not only gives all my creatures, all the elves, +1/+1, I can make elves. Green, tap, put a 1/1 green elf warrior token into play. Of course, it'll be 2/2 when it hits because of her ability. Another Mana Dork. Kill Flyers Dork. So, 3 for a 2/2 Reacher. Whenever I play an elf spell, I may have Lys Alana Bowmaster deal 2 damage to target creature just flying. So if I'm dumping a lot of elves, I should be able to kill pretty much any flyers that are on the board. So they can't hit me. I'm not really worried about them blocking me, because the goal is to give all my elves some kind of massive pump from Lords, Coat of Arms, Door of Destinies, and Forest Walk. So I'm not really expecting, if everything works well, any flyers to be able to block my creatures. Okay, here's the first elf that costs more than 3. Nullmage Shepherd, 3 and a green for a 2/4. Tap 4 and tap creatures I control. Destroy target artifact or enchantment. And since she doesn't tap to do that, I can tap her immediately to add to the effect. So as long as I have 3 other creatures, when she comes into play, I can activate her ability. Priest of Titania, Super Mana Dork. 1 green, 1 colorless for a 1/1 elf that gives me 1 green to every elf I control. And a Tyvar, untap an elf. I can really go to town. Quirion Ranger. This creature can do a lot of tricks. It's really surprising how many tricks you can do, because you can return a forest you control to its owner's hand on anybody's turn to untap a creature. So you can do combat tricks, you can suddenly get more mana, all sorts of interesting things become possible when you have a Quirion Ranger in play. And I love this version because of the Henry David Thoreau quote. I went to the woods because I wished to live deliberately. I should have bought more of her when she was cheap, but I was dumb and didn't. Anyway. Reclamation Sage. 3 for a 2/1 elf that comes into play and kills an artifact or enchantment. Seeker of Sexy. 1 green and a colorless for 2/1, untap target creature. Should have bought more of these when they were cheap, as with the Quirion Ranger, but I was dumb and didn't. Shaman of the Pack. Kind of a kill card. So 1 black, 1 green for 3/2. When it comes into play, target opponent loses life equal to the number of elves I control. I didn't put any ways of bouncing this back. Any flicker effects, any erratic portal or anything like that to bring her back to my hand to recast her and reuse the ability. That's something I'll have to think of as I go forward with this deck as I actually play it. Skyshroud Ranger. So green for a 1/1 elf. Okay, so I can only use this as a sorcery, but I can tap her, just merely tap her to put any land into play. And it doesn't have to be tapped. It doesn't come into play tapped. So, yeah, she's slow, but she's been used before. And again, I like the art. Mark Teton is supposed to be coming to the Eternal Weekend in Prague in November. I'm looking forward to it. I'm trying to figure out what cards I really want to have signed, because I expect there to be a limit of 5. And I need to be judicious because I have a lot more than 5 Mark Teton cards I would love to have signed. Anyway, Sylvan Ranger comes into play. Search my library for a basic land, put it in my hand, shuffle. Otherwise, she's a 1/1 elf. Not even a warrior. Taunting Elf. So all creatures able to block this dude have to do so. So this is another way of getting things through. So if I haven't got my Cradle of Growth, my opponent's trying to have Forest, I haven't drawn a Forest Walker to go with either them having a Forest or me having Cradle of Growth. None of that is working. I can at least Fauna Shaman for Taunting Elf. And yeah, here, block this dude. I don't care. I've got Yavimaya Hollow. I'm going to regenerate him anyway. And the rest of the team is going to smash into you like a pile of rocks. Alright, my camera's about to cut off, so let's go to part 2.